What you need in the building? How's everybody doing? Um, so the topic, as you can see, is a new breed. All right. I'm really interested in talking about these topics, but I got to be careful because I don't want to. Oh God, I'm so tired. I'm tired. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sleepy. It's the end of another day. I have my headphones in the back here on the sofa and all of that. We're going to talk about this as I sit on the ground. A lot of people say, "Why are you sitting on the ground, brother? Why are you sitting?" I love the ground. Now, this is the Caribbean, so the ground is nice and cool, um, and the atmosphere is also awesome. Unlike other places in the world, the Caribbean is hot. So, at the end of the day, where I just finished eating, and I'm sitting back chilling. I'm going to talk a little bit about boxing with you guys. I see somebody's viewing this video. Let's talk about the new breed. First things first, Michael Jai White. Those of you who know who I'm talking about, the actor, also martial artist. He spoke about something I spoke about several times, but I'm still going to talk about it because, you know, he was actually talking about the same things that I've been talking about, which is the new school versus the old school. And he was talking mostly about you guys feel free to talk, come in at any point. I'll go off. Okay. Who's this drunk? Are you watching the election? No, I'm not. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. I'll find out what the results were maybe tomorrow or whenever. I'm not an American, so I don't even have to worry about that. Why am I not interested in elections? I am somewhat interested in who wins the elections. That's pretty important. But why I'm not interested in it right now is because there's nothing I can do to change it anyway. I can't change anything. Okay, I can't campaign. I'm not going to be casting a vote. So whatever happens, happens. You know, hopefully it happens for the better. I can't say who will win. I just have to wait and see. So I'm just gonna chill out, wait and see. I'm not gonna follow it because I'm not going to try and get myself emotionally attached to anything. I just want to see what the results will be. All we can do is just watch and wait. And I'm not interested in the elections like that. There's many different reasons why I'm not really interested in those things right now, but and why I speak about sports. Don't forget to smash that like button. Thank you very much. But if you're watching the elections, great. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying this. I'm putting it out there. I don't know. Maybe Mr. Biden will win, and maybe bring about uh, some sort of change that is positive to what we've had for the last 4 years. I think it is. So hopefully that can happen. Now, even if he does win, whether he does or doesn't, let's assume he does win. What does he bring to the table that's different to what we've seen before? I don't know. Again, the American public has laid out certain votes and gotten certain outcomes. And, it looks like some people are gearing up for violence and civil war if Mr. Trump doesn't win. So either way, it looks like people are going to be at least hostile for a minute. So I don't know who will win. Hopefully, there's a change, though. Hopefully, it's not the same regime, it's not the same people who go back in power, showing that the American public doesn't just buy into any bullshit that somebody says. Hopefully, but if he does win, well, he does win. I mean, what can you do? So that's how I look at it. I'm not swinging one way or the other because I'm not really American. I'm not involved in the American elections. I'm sure there are most Americans are not really too enthusiastic about electing either guy. And I think most Americans will not be enthusiastic actually about seeing Donald Trump back there as well. Most Americans, I would believe so. But whether they're motivated enough to want to have a change of governance and try something else, don't know. So we'll have to find out. This election will tell us if people are motivated enough to just say, you know what, let's just have somebody different. You know, we'll see. If that does happen, well, that is means we're looking at a fresh page, and we're looking at something new, something different. And if let's face, for example, like in my country, elections were held, and we elected back the same governance, but you know, still a lot of things are still not quite good. You know what I mean? Because we elected back the same governance. Maybe we should have elected another governance. Who knows? But why I'm saying all of this just to say sometimes, excuse me, just first decisions or first choices, or, you know, they always say 2020 vision, you know, 2020 hindsight. Excuse me. See, this is going to happen to me now. 2020 hindsight is, you know, the best hindsight, but, you know, how can you can't really know until, you know, so I can't really say. So that's why I'm not really focused on it. I'm not trying to put my energies into it or get stressed out about it or anything like that. Because a lot of people are emotionally invested in it, and, you know, it's an election. Yeah, it does determine who the face of governance will be and how things can be carried about. And that is a serious thing, but man, there's just so many serious things happening simultaneously right now in the world. And, you know, there's a lot of jostling for power and position. And a lot of it is not for any positive reasons. So we'll see. If it was me, if I was voting, I'd probably vote for Biden. I'd probably vote for Biden. Strange as it sounds, I'd vote for Biden versus Trump just to get something different, just to see something different happen. And that's what I would have probably done. But I'm not in the voting process. So I mean, I don't know how you feel about it. Well, who would you have voted for, Poopy Strong? If you had to vote in elections, who would you have voted for? Just off the top of your head. It doesn't matter who you say. You can say Trump, you can say Biden, it doesn't matter to you. I would have voted for Biden. Or who would you have voted for? Trump? I'm curious. I'm just curious who you would have voted for. And you guys can all say who you would have voted for. It doesn't really matter for me because, like I said before, um, I'm not voting anyway. So it really, I can't really contribute to that. So it doesn't really matter for me who I voted for. And like Poopy Sistrunk, if you're not living in the United States of America, then it doesn't really matter who you say. You could say Trump, you could say Bernie Sanders, you could say Biden. It doesn't matter, or whoever. It doesn't matter because we're not voting. Our votes don't count, so it doesn't matter. You know. Um. Yeah. So that's it for the elections. I'm going to talk about boxing again. So yeah. I want to talk a little boxing with you guys, and the new breed of boxers they're very interesting. Um, they do a lot of things differently, but they fight so smart. I like that they are smart boxers. So one of the things you're gonna have to excuse me when I cough like this. Believe it or not, it's a reflux, and it's the irritation on my throat here as the gas is coming up. So it's a nasty, nasty cough. It'll go away as I improve on how my circulation, and I kind of fell back into a relapse because I wasn't exercising as I should. I was eating properly, but I was also doing some very inappropriate behavior and inappropriate practices, which just brought me to this point. And that's my fault. But New Breed. I want to talk a little bit about them. Let me move this out the way. The picture. Yeah. So I'm very informal, as you know, with these videos. Don't feel a how about it. It's just an informal environment. You guys can come in and talk your talk, right? It's a relaxed environment. So we're not trying to, showcase something or be, show business partners or be some sort of, artificial segment. It's just like you coming into a barbershop or something, chilling out with a dude, and we're talking boxing, okay? So it's very informal. And I'm an opinionated kind of person, so I'll give my opinion. That doesn't necessarily it's right, but I'm gonna give you my opinion. I'll give you reasons for it, right? So if you guys want to sit back for an hour or something and just talk with me, it's all good. So here's the topic. The topic's the new breed, and then I also have um, an extension of the topic, which if you guys can remember what it is, that would be very nice because I just forgot what it was. Let me see here. What do we have? Um, this is interesting. I can't. I need to find my topic. I need to know what it is I'm talking about. uh, let's see here. What's this? No. Hey, let me mess around with the colors a little bit. Presentation. There you go. I'm just having a little fun with this. All right, guys. So we're talking boxing. Yes. So we're going to talk about the new breed. We're going to talk about special fighters, right? In boxing. We categorize special fighters several different ways. One of them is the pound for pound list. Another way is to look at them as champions because generally, if you move your way all up and become a world champion, you're a special fighter, generally speaking. And we also look at them as promising prospects or promising upcoming fighters. We have examples of Jerome Ennis and Virgil Ortiz. And then we see them especially because of how they're taking on each challenge as they move up the ladder. Virgil Ortiz, you remember he knocked out the maestro, the guy that gave Danny Garcia all those problems in the world. So, um, that's how we look at fighters. And I want to talk about the special fighters. All right. And then I want to talk to you guys about, I think there's a third thing, or I said probably other topics. So some of you guys want to stray into other things because today was an election day. But I'm willing to talk to you guys just about anything at this point in time. I'm just going to put in a different effect. Let's see. We have sepia, we have silver screen. This looks good. Black and white film. Yeah, let me have a little fun with the video. All right, so when you guys are ready, we talk about it. So let me start off with the new breed. So the new breed, what I like about these fighters, at least this is what it looks to me like it's going to shape up to be, with the exception of Tank Davis. Okay, with the exception of Tank Davis, it looks like the new breed fighters want to face each other. They want to face each other now. And I love that because your resume is going to be made up of the best and facing the best. It's not about what gets you into the Boxing Hall of Fame is not going to be how many times you were world champion, but you faced nobody. It's not going to be, how much pay-per-view buys you did, right? You're not getting into the Boxing Hall of Fame for that. You're getting into the Boxing Hall of Fame for who you faced and who you beat. Now, obviously, the biggest fights are going to have the biggest names. It's just what it is. And while making money is very important in boxing, okay, I don't care what nobody says. You want to have a resume that reflects your worth, not just excitement. And what I see in fighters like Devin Haney, what I see in fighters like Teofimo Lopez, what I see in fighters like Ryan Garcia, what I see in guys like Shakur Stevenson, what I see in guys like Jerome Ennis, what I see in guys like Virgil Ortiz are young, hungry guys coming up who want to face and make a name for themselves. Now, the fire sometimes burns out, but you have to be able to face the very best. And the more of the very best you face in each weight class that you go into, is the more your resume looks better. And I think these younger fighters get it. Win, lose, or draw, you don't want nobody saying at the end of your career, but he didn't face that dude, or but he didn't face that dude, but he didn't face that dude, but he, which is kind of like what they're saying with Tank, right? Tank didn't face Burchelt, right? Burchelt's been there forever. Tank didn't face Tevin Farmer, right? Tank didn't face, he hasn't faced Devin Haney or Teofimo Lopez or Lomachenko, who have been calling him out. You know, a lot of people start talking about this. This is what happened with Tank. But it's not the case with Devin Haney. Devin Haney be calling out everybody, and nobody want to face Devin Haney. Teofimo Lopez has been calling out Lomachenko. He finally got Lomachenko, right? Ryan Garcia been calling out Tank. So the point is, these young, hungry lions, with the exception of Tank, who has been kind of brought along slowly, with the exception of Tank, all these other guys understand. And you listen to Jaleel Hackett, you listen to all the young guns coming up, and they have a different mindset. And it's very important to have that mindset, let me say. Now, what Teofimo Lopez so correctly said was Floyd Mayweather coming up was fighting all the best fighters. And I hope Floyd does the same for Tank now that Tank is on the right path in terms of discipline. Now, I was listening to several different boxers and people in the business speak about Tank Davis. Mikey Garcia was saying that, Tank is a guy who was interviewed by Snow Queen. Shout out to Snow Queen. Shout out to Ellie Seckback. He was interviewed by Snow Queen, and he was saying that, Tank might be the one who's most capable of facing Teofimo Lopez. Devin Haney doesn't think Devin Haney's ready yet because he hasn't had the competition. I'm gonna say this on the record. I think Blue Blood Sports TV agrees with me on this one. I'm gonna say this on record. Gervonta Tank Davis is still, in my opinion, because he's not as dedicated as the other guys, and the other guys got to jump on him in terms of conditioning and so on. I think he's still the least strongest of all of them. As strange as this sounds, I think Ryan Garcia is stronger than Tank. I think that Devin Haney is stronger than Tank. I think that Teofimo Lopez is stronger than Tank, and I'll explain to you what I mean. So Tank Davis, he's always ballooned up in weight, and then he has to use these fat camps to get down in weight to where he needs to be. But I've heard Tank now having that commitment and that drive and that zeal with Floyd in his corner to want to stay in shape, to want to stay ready, so that he doesn't have to have these fat camps to get in shape, to get ready to face his opponents. I think Tank's going to stay at 130, where he's most explosive. I do not think Floyd will allow Tank to face Devin Haney. Maybe he will. But that's sad because, quite frankly, I think that Tank, like all these young, hungry lions that are coming up, should be in the mix with those guys. Win, lose, or draw. See, in a way, and I think Tank sometimes he shrinks back and he's not very happy about the situation, but in a way, I believe that Floyd had that opportunity to face his Diego Corrales. Floyd had his opportunity to face his Jose Luis Castillo. Floyd had his opportunity to face Angel Manfredi. Floyd had his opportunity to face, his equals in his prime. And Floyd shouldn't take that away from Tank. This is my personal opinion. I understand they have a game plan for Tank to make him a crossover fighter. But I just feel you're watering down this kid
competitive juices, and you got to put him in a 50-50 fight. You got to put him in fights which are 50-50, where you're not sure if he will win or he'll lose. In the case of Leo Santa Cruz, he was too strong for Leo. It wasn't too big for Leo. Obviously, like my boy Blue Blood Sports TV correctly said, he wasn't too big for Leo. I wouldn't be surprised they were around about the same weight going in on the scales. But obviously, he would have been too strong for Leo because he came from lightweight. Leo didn't come from lightweight. Leo came up from featherweight. And it was his second fight at super feather. He was bigger, he was stronger, but still he wasn't as strong as Tank. Clearly, we saw that. Tank slammed him down on the ground. That's like Floyd versus Miguel Cotto. Now, just because the fighter is stronger than you doesn't mean that automatically means he's going to beat you. Even though Tank had that dynamite in his hands, that doesn't guarantee that Tank would beat Leo. Now, listen to everybody saying, "Oh, Tank is he was more skilled than Leo." I'm going to say it again. I'm going to repeat myself on this issue. I thought that Leo Santa Cruz, I thought Leo Santa Cruz was equal to the task with Tank. I thought that he was landing that loop right hand pretty well on Tank. He was obviously making Tank's eyes puffy. He was closing up his eyes. And if that fight went a little longer, we really have a competitive fight. And Leo might have closed one of Tank's eyes. And Tank may have done fight through one eye. Leo was vicious. All right. And while he did not, hit Tank with the kind of punches that Tank was capable of hitting him with, because he kept his guard up and for the most part blocked most of the punches, Leo was very competitive in that fight. All right. And he was starting to warm up. You could see he was trying to loosen up. And I guess that was part of Tank's game plan, to get him loose enough so that he would be throwing enough punches, thinking that he could take his shots and then he would nuke him, And he really put the pressure, he put the heat on him in rounds 5 and round 6. It started turning in round 4, when Leo was going to the body and Tank started going to the body of Leo, But I want to say that Tank was bigger than Leo, but I would definitely say he was stronger than him. I will also say this. Tank he was much more composed than Leo. I thought Leo was less composed than Tank. And when Tank settled down and he kept composed, he was able to break down Leo and then get him out of there. It was a matter of time when I looked at the fight and reviewed it. But if Leo could have made it past the 6, maybe do some more damage to Tank, it would have been a very interesting way how it finished. Because they were neck and neck, nip and top. Even though the pendulum was switching in Tank's direction. Tank was breaking down Leo. But the point wasn't that. In terms of the new breed, Tank is still coming into his own with respect to his conditioning. Because he got Leo out of there in the 6th round, we were not able to see how his conditioning was, but I suspect his conditioning was good enough to carry him all the way to 12 rounds. But I don't know how much damage he could have taken, because Leo was putting some heat on Tank. Tank was using his defense, don't get me wrong, but he was still getting hit with some shots. And he did hurt Tank to the body once or twice. But getting back to my point, this new breed they look like they are determined to make their legacy through facing each other. And that's a great thing. A lot of fighters, Errol Spence, for example, with Terrence Crawford, instead of making that Crawford fight or trying to make that fight with Crawford, like how Deontay Wilder tried to make his fight with Tyson Fury, Errol's fighting all kinds of other guys, right? And you see in boxing today, guys are trying to draw out fights to make the most money. And nothing's wrong with that. Absolutely nothing's wrong with that. But I'm just saying the difference between that and the new breed is I can see these young set of fighters coming up together, wanting to clash with each other, not having a problem clashing with each other because they've seen each other in the amateurs and they don't have a problem clashing with each other now and having trilogies and having whatever they will have with each other,
And I like that. I like that because they're not willing to wait till down the road sometimes. They're willing to start putting it up and duking it up now. I think that's a good thing. That's what the fans want. And it might lead to big fights even now. So why this is important is because when they have such fearlessness, as they go through divisions and they pursue the fights that other people don't want to face or whoever or fighters, they're going to build this legacy, this incredible legacy. Because all they keep on doing is piling up names. Their resumes just keeps on piling up names. Now, the money has to come with it. And this brand of fighters, social media, their social media savvy. So I think the social media still goes along with them, but I think the wins. Now I've seen, like for example, Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez, he beat Lomachenko, the man of the division. Is he going to sit back on his laurels, or is he going to pursue Devin Haney? Is he going to pursue Tank Davis? Is he going to pursue Ryan Garcia? Of course, their performances will tell who he goes after. I truly believe he should go after Devin Haney, and we saw him put up the WBC franchise belt for a reason. So I think he should go after Devin Haney because Devin Haney has the franchise belt. But what is his marketability? What does he really want to do? What does he want to pursue? And hopefully he's looking at a legacy, which he truly wants, which is to be undisputed. I don't know. Maybe that's not as important as the money and the paycheck or how big he can get. So maybe he'll go for celebrity, which is Tank. Or maybe he'll go for the celebrity again, which is Ryan. So I don't know what he would go for. But at the end of the day, he's kind of in the driving seat, yes. But how he really moves, how he really proceeds will tell us what kind of fighter he is and what kind of tone we have for the new breed. Because Teofimo Lopez is part of the takeover. The takeover is this new breed of fighters. So we will see if they set a new sort of tone to how boxing goes down. Deontay Wilder was like one of the guys to break that and start to do that breakthrough where he faced Tyson Fury. And he's willing to face Tyson Fury a third time, which would be very good. Now, whether Tyson Fury reciprocates that for Deontay Wilder is another story. You know what I mean? Because, again, you could have one fighter who's truly cut from the cloth of I'm gonna face the biggest baddest dude out there. I'm gonna face him. So I don't know if he'll entertain the trilogy with Wilder. I surely hope that he does that. He doesn't duck or dodge Wilder, but he actually goes straight to the bullet and says, "No, I got a date with this dude. Let me get it done, and then I'm gonna pick up from where I last left off." So I hope that Fury looks at going at Wilder soon enough. Oh, this is interesting. We'll see what's up with him. But as for the new breed, I think the new breed are just cut from a different cloth, and it should be interesting how things proceed with them. So we're gonna watch and see. All I can say is when it comes to the new breed and they're fighting, that's 50-50 fights. I don't know who will win. Okay, we'll see. I'm just happy they face each other. I'm not gonna pick no sides. This weekend we have it's gonna be Devin Haney versus Yorkis Gamboa. Gamboa always brings it every single fight. So we'll see how that pans out, right? I'm not gonna make any predictions on anything. I'm just gonna watch and enjoy the fights this weekend. But why I speak about these fighters because they're special fighters. And some of the things that these special fighters do, when I was looking at Teddy Atlas's speech on the weekend fights, he brought up how Tank pulled the same move that Povetkin did. I think a lot of people talked about that on social media. But special fighters fight smart. But as I was saying, Michael Jai White, he said something about untelegraphed punches. And I did a piece on fighters who do untelegraphed punches. And Michael Jai White went into more detail on Mayweather and what he did with Canelo. He talked about Conor McGregor, what he did with Aldo. Uh, and he talked about special fighters like Roy Jones Jr., who did it as well on Telegraph Fight Hands. And I did a whole piece on that. You guys can go watch that. And I think a lot of people, as much as people talk about, well, Gennady Golovkin did it and Canelo did it, but listen, the thing about it is the way how these guys moved in the ring, as Michael Jai White said, using the tool instead of using your tool instead of moving the tool, right? Not telegraphing where your movement by moving your shoulders before you or cocking back the shot before you throw it. Not telegraphing the shot. It's very important. Pacquiao does something like that. He shoots the untelegraphed lead left off a feint, right? So I'm just saying that those kinds of things, separated guys like Mayweather and Roy Jones Jr., from the average fighter. But I wanted to talk about other things in boxing. With respect to the sanctioning bodies and sometimes their favoritism, their bias, and it's not sanctioning bodies. Sorry, it's the WBC. I don't know why the WBC is doing what it's doing, but as of late, they've been deteriorating rapidly and losing credibility very quickly in the boxing community. And I don't understand why Maurice Suleiman is on this sort of agenda with the WBC. I don't know what happened to him. What did he did he eat some sort of weird pill or something? It's just so strange how the WBC is behaving. And the most recent scandal of theirs, which they're trying to insinuate that Gervonta Tank Davis was cheating with his gloves, it's just so weird. I don't understand why they would be going down that pathway, seeing that the event was televised and Ellie Seckbach did a good piece on it. Fight Hype did a good piece on it. And I mean, literally, there, at no time was Tank ever hiding anything, like how with the Tyson Fury situation with the gloves, where they switched off the cameras, and was allowed to switch off cameras. That never happened. And it's so fishy that the WBC would bring our attention to the glove situation, because it's almost like they're trying to fling in our face that Tyson Fury's glove situation is one in which we should pay attention to, and yet at the same time we should see how trivial it looks, if the cuff is on the other foot. And I found it very strange that they would actually do something like that. They would troll. They would troll the public like that. I found it very strange. And I still think that I'll be honest with you. And as much as I do not like fighters making excuses, they are almost the WBC, that is, giving validity to these racist sort of sentiments that we're seeing from them. And sadly, the people who they represent keep on letting them down. Roy Jones Jr. went on the record talking about how, their rounds are limited to 2 limited rounds, and that should only be for women. That's a very chauvinistic, stupid thing to say. And Clarissa Shields laughed, and she actually made a comment on that. How foolish that was, that they would say something like that. So chauvinistic. And it's funny because they want this Black Lives Matter belt at the WBC. And like I said, I think it's still cooning. I think it's a coonery that's going on here. That you're willing to lap up something that's an insult to the black fighters in boxing. You're ready to grab onto that, and you don't care.
You don't care how it looks to you, your people. You don't care that it's a mockery of what you represent and what the movement was all about. You don't seem to care about that. You just, it's a belt, and so I would take it. You know, the sentiment that Roy Jones, and the irony of the situation is, I remember Mike Tyson talking about how, you know, the belts don't mean anything to him, and now all of a sudden the Black Lives Matter belt means something to you, Mike, and and Roy's sharing the same sentiments as you. I think you should speak for yourself, Mike Tyson. I don't think you should let Roy speak for you. You know, that's just my personal opinion. Um, You know, it's just one of those ironies where these guys are contradicting themselves and they're saying some really dumb things. And the WBC itself is behaving very weird, if I must say that myself. You know, he had this franchise championship, which was specifically for fighters, so they would avoid other fighters. You know, your arbitrary award just granted to somebody who can ask for it, can request this award. That's some serious nonsense going on there. And then on top of that, now you try to block certain fighters, you try to insult certain fighters who speak about other fighters cheating, and then when those fighters are found out to be cheating, you you give the people the award that those people had, but you're never going to issue an apology to them. And then on top of that, now you're also blacklisting certain black fighters like Dillian White, who had supposed to have had a shot at the WBC title. I mean, over and over and over again, it does not look good on the WBC. The WBC has been doing a lot of nonsense of late when it comes to fighters, particularly fighters of color, unfortunately. So, what do you mean by Black Lives Matter? Obviously, you're trying to make fun of it. And then on top of that, you will not investigate Deontay Wilder's claims of glove tampering, which has this sizable evidence for that. And the fighter has a right to request that of you. And instead, you are into these denial claims and information is being deleted and removed. It looks very, very fishy on the WBC's part. It looks like almost they're involved in the corruption. And seeing that you can have nepotism and somebody can request a world title, they can purchase a world title from you. That's nepotism. So I don't understand corruption. So is this what the WBC is about now? Their great belts and their great reputation has now come down to this treachery and corruption and nepotism? Is this what it's all descended into? Because it looks, I mean, it's almost as if the WBC's all the good work they did, all the good work that Mr. Suleiman did. His son Mauricio comes into the table. He's done a whole set of good work as well. Mauricio Suleiman, great president of the WBC. All of a sudden, Mauricio, all of a sudden, out of the clear blue sky, you're starting to behave weird? Why? I don't understand. You were the guy that supported Floyd Mayweather. You were the guy that supported Canelo Alvarez. You were the guy that's, and by the way, Canelo actually was, I thought, still to this day, I think that Canelo was clear of clenbuterol allegations. I think that guy was actually a clean dude. I could be wrong, but I think he was a clean dude. Okay, so I defended the WBC on that. And all the clear blue sky, this franchise championships then came. And after that, we've had all kinds of weird stuff happening with the WBC. WBC defending certain Mexican fighters who, the woman who was doping. She was doping. And you repeatedly defended her. Why? Why didn't you just let the investigate? I don't understand. What is going on, Mauricio? What has happened? Mayweather says there are too many belts. He was like, okay, that's Mario's opinion. He's free to do. That's cool. I mean, but come on. What is going on? What is the problem? How can we as fans assist you? This is weird. I don't hate the WBC. It's one of the most, how should I say? It's one of the most, at least it was one of the most, as of late, I'm all question marks. I'm confused. I got to be honest with you. I'm confused. What are you trying to do? I mean, the WBC has been a very cherished brand. Okay. We know there's been corruption in WBC, but for the most part, it's the title you always wanted to get. Beautiful belt and everything. All of a sudden, Mauricio Suleiman's making belts. And he's making all kinds of belts. And I mean, the WBC is making all kinds of belts. And I don't understand what is going on, WBC. What are you trying to do? Because you're doing a horrible PR job right now. You're doing a terrible job. Pushing your brand. I don't understand. It just happened overnight. All right, in the last, 2 years? Things have just gone to the crapper. I don't understand. No, seriously, I don't understand. I don't understand. I can't defend the WBC right now. I would try. I would love to try, but it's very hard. So it's like I don't understand what's going on. you know, uh, I don't know what to say. The WBC. You know what's the weirdest thing? They're trying to talk about a glove scandal, and the WBC has nothing to do with it. This is the WBA's thing. And like it's so confusing to me. Why are you commenting on something that has to do with the WBA? It doesn't make no damn sense. Like what is going on? You know what I mean? You have an issue with the WBA having a super championship? I don't understand. The WBA has been conducting themselves. They have regular champions, they have super champions for the longest while. Okay? We don't consider the regular champion as the true champion. As they say, it's a partial title. You don't have that WBC. You don't. Nobody respects it because, and I'll tell you why. If you didn't have, you can't have something. The franchise championship is not received by everyone. And you may be salty about that, but it's not received by everyone. Okay? That's what it is. Now, the reason it's not received by everyone is because people don't see a transparent way how you earn it. They can't see the meritocracy. You're very vague on what what makes a franchise champion. And the worst thing you could have ever done was have fighters request it. So, or their promotional companies request it. I understand the name franchise means, it's business. But that title is just not going to work. It's too nepotistic. You're saying if you want to have a championship title, you can purchase it, and that's just not cool. That's what you're basically essentially saying about your title. So that's why you need to take that franchise title and just throw it away. Get rid of it. It's redundant. It's not necessary. And it's messing up boxing. It's a bad idea. And the sooner you realize that, the better. It's just not a good idea. That's one of the few WBC ideas that I personally can't rock with, and I think a lot of other people in boxing, whether it's sanctioning bodies or otherwise, I don't think they personally can rock with that. The whole idea behind championships are things that are won, things that are earned, not things that are requested. And I think your franchise championship thing is going to vaporize soon. We don't want to hear about it. I'm just being honest with you. As for you defending fighters who are actually being investigated or preventing investigations from happening with certain fighters, not showing yourself as unbiased, not showing yourself as listening to the evidence given to you, that's going to nip you in the ass a little bit later on as well. Because in this era, respect is given by people who appear to be. They don't have to be, but they must at least appear to be unbiased and willing to improve their establishment and what they have. So if the WBC is not willing to improve what they already have in place, and if the state athletic commissions are not willing to improve and listen to improve what they already have in place,
then they're going to find themselves lumped into the category again of corruption and nepotism. And it's only going to get validated as other people choose to investigate the situation, aside from the sanctioning bodies and aside from the the athletic commissions. So it's better if the athletic commissions get onto it than have somebody independently investigate it and come to the conclusions that they come to. Because once again, the sanctioning bodies and the athletic commissions are going to come up short. They're going to be seen as flawed. All right. And how many times do we need to go through this? So it's better if you conduct an investigation into Tyson Fury's situation that allegedly a lot of people are gathering evidence on. And so you can investigate it thoroughly. And then from that, get your findings and then move accordingly. Right? Because the sooner you do that, the better you clear the air on the issue. But if you're just making statements, you already showed your bias, and you don't have an independent body to investigate. You're putting yourself in deep trouble. Again, the value of your sanctioning body is only going to either rise or fall based on how you present it. So that's just my words to the WBC. One more thing I want to talk about, and then I'm pretty much done. In boxing today, there is a hierarchy that is outside the scope of the hardcore boxing fans. What do I mean by this hierarchy? In boxing, a lot of things have now started to, it's a kind of a change of an era. Certain things have taken precedence over other things. What do I mean by that? So, for example, if we look at Adrian Broner's situation, Adrian Broner's doing nothing that has to do with boxing right now. He was in prison. I think he's come out. But it's like a reality TV series with Adrian Broner. People are following him. They're abused by him. It reminds me of Mike Tyson's life and Mike Tyson on a whole. How people are amused by him and follow him. Adrian Broner is doing it in a totally different way, but still, nonetheless, the interest in Adrian Broner is always there, and people are mentioning his name. And so there's a hierarchy in terms of popularity now with boxers and entertainers, period, where people are being entertained by these people as their lives unfold. And ironically, if you think about it, Mike Tyson is so well known and he's able to make money off of his name because he stayed in the public eye, always an interest. People are always interested in his story and the mystique of him. With Adrian Broner, he's always in the public eye and people are interested. And I was talking about his latest adventure. And I think that in and of itself is entertaining. Now, the hierarchy that I'm speaking about is in terms of relevance in boxing. The boxers and the people in boxing need to realize that in this sort of era, if you want to get the crossover sort of appeal, you're going to have to give people more than just your sport and what you're good at. And ironically, Adrian Broner is really good at doing that. Getting people interested in him as an individual, as a person, and the snippets and shots of him that he wants to present you with. He's really good at that. And as strange as it sounds, Adrian Broner's losses have not affected him at all. And you look at his resume, it is one of the most toughest resumes in the sport of boxing today. He's faced the who's who of boxing. Um, and that serves for something. The boxing scientist says he's an entertainer. He absolutely is. He's a fantastic entertainer. And every aspect of his life is very interesting. And he did his rap songs and he did his his records, albums and stuff. Adrian Broner's probably the most entertaining guy right now in boxing, point blank period. And that's what the hierarchy of boxing is. That's what gives us crossover appeal. Now that Mayweather and they are trying to do that with Tank. They're trying to get him to cross over so that he's a global name early in his career. So they're going a slightly different route to what the other youngins are trying to do. The other youngins are trying to fight the best. I'm not saying Tank's not going to fight the best, but they're looking to take his brand and make it a worldwide brand name sooner than they did Floyd's. And they're saying that takes precedence over him facing the best at a particular point in time. Me personally, I don't know if I agree with everything they're doing. I mean, I prefer to see Tank face the best guy immediately, and then if he needs to face him again down the road, he does, and so on and so on. But to each his own. I mean, that's just my preference. It's a bigger design. But I see that Teofimo Lopez is setting that blueprint, that trend. But anyway, besides that, I'm saying we saw Teofimo Lopez. He had to get he had some sort of hairline fracture in his toe or something like that, somewhere in his foot. Of course, he had a hairline fracture in his hand. So it just shows you that, sometimes these guys after the fights, they come out the fights and they have injuries. But besides Adrian Broner, I kind of like Derek Chisora as well. Derek Chisora is pretty entertaining in different ways. Still kind of linked to the boxing promoters, but Derek Chisora still tries to do something. Tries to be entertaining, tries to be unpredictable. I think that's why he's still relevant to this day. He has a pretty good fan base. He's not the best boxer in the world, but again, he's very entertaining. But Adrian takes it to a whole other level. Adrian takes it outside of boxing. Adrian's brand now goes beyond boxing, and Adrian's kind of hit a demographic that has to do with the hip hop community and rapping and a lot of other things. And the strangest thing about Adrian Broner is not known for notoriousness per se. Adrian Broner is known for his life and his lifestyle and stuff. The boxing scientist says Tyson Fury is entertaining outside the ring. Yeah, he's also, but still, even with Tyson Fury still, the way how Adrian Broner is marketing himself is such that even Broner, because Broner's like that bad child you got, who you're hoping would go the right way. And that sort of funny, bad child sort of thing. So you're always concerned about Adrian Broner, and that gets people roped in. Right? Tyson Fury says outlandish stuff. Tyson Fury antagonizes. Tyson Fury is always thinking of a boxing and opposition and warrior. So he's always throwing jabs at people. Adrian Broner's not doing that. Adrian Broner's blueprint is a totally different blueprint altogether. Adrian Broner's in his own lane and carving out his own niche. He's like a guy who has all this unlimited potential, and then he's giving people problems to drink a smoothie down. You know what I mean? Or you see him with his kids, and they're eating something he shouldn't be eating. Oh, he's playing basketball on the basketball court, right? And he's draining certain shots, and the other guy's daring him. I'm just saying, Adrian Broner takes some of the most mundane things and makes them very interesting. He's with his family. You can see he's with his family, his significant other and her kids. And at the same time, he's with the kids. And it's very interesting how he's doing his thing. Tyson Fury is interesting too, but Tyson Fury is more plugged in. But Adrian is almost taking it outside the confines of boxing and going somewhere else with it. Adrian Broner was doing rap songs and presenting his albums, and he was doing other things other than boxing and still having that fan base go with him and still having people talk about him. And I thought that was very interesting that Adrian Broner, he used boxing as a niche to begin his celebrity, to begin his what is it? Celebrity, I guess. And now he's taking that celebrity and he's going different places with it. And it's very interesting, how he's able to do that. He's not a top anything right now in boxing, and people are still interested in it. And Derek Chisora is another guy, something like that, where he's kind of capturing our attention. Of course, he's still fighting, and his fights are pretty up to pretty good standard. So he's more focused. When we see Chisora, we always see him in a fighting mode. But Adrian Broner is giving us other dimensions to himself. He's not just showing us him in the fighting mode. He's showing us him dealing with people, just dealing with people, getting along with people, getting along with his family. So it's a little bit different, Tyson Fury's, all about exercise and throwing jabs at other boxers and saying controversial things. But we've seen that already. We've been there, done that with boxers who try to get attention. But with Adrian Broner, we're getting something totally different, something totally new. And even sometimes the reality of his life and how he has to be in these compromising positions. So I just find Adrian Broner so much more interesting. And in the hierarchy of boxers out there, Adrian Broner's name is high above quite a lot of boxers' names, even though a lot of boxers have led us into their lives somewhat, like Mikey Garcia, like Errol Spence Jr., like the Charlos, especially Jamel Charlo, who's a little bit crazy in the mind. And then we have, and then we've gotten a little bit into Tyson Fury. We've got a little bit of, just a little bit of Usyk, a touch of Usyk. Probably we get more of him. Usyk with those funny little lines. I feel. How do you feel? I feel. All these little characters in boxing always help the sport because it's a full package, And having all these interesting characters is fun. It's fun. It's not just about war and fighting, but now kind of creating a brand and then taking that brand and going different places with it. When I think of Danny Garcia with his what do you say? What do you say? His Tony Montana is what he calls himself. I think he says Danny Montana, right? Or Danny Montano, or just being more of a showman. You don't always have to be a showman in the ring, an entertainer in the ring. You could be an entertainer outside the ring. You could be an entertainer at home. You could be an entertainer in different places. Just make it interesting. Make it interesting. And I think that's something that Broner is really good at doing. I think that's what keeps Adrian Broner relevant. He hasn't fought a fight in 2 years, and Adrian Broner is still relevant. And the only way that is so is because Adrian Broner is just interesting. There's something interesting about him all the time. Mike Tyson hasn't fought in 15 years, but he's an interesting guy. So they have TV series. He's done pigeon stuff. He's done a lot of stuff. He's been in movies because he's an interesting guy. So what I would tell people, fellow boxers coming up, as much as you're young and hungry and you're working in the gym, also think about aspects of yourself that's interesting. Just like how we do on YouTube. I got my own niche, that I do, as you can see right now. And different people in different places, they got their niches, you know what I mean? And you just find that niche that is you, and then
bring it out there. Everybody knows, anybody who knows me knows I'm a knowledge kind of guy. I'm a guy that likes to um, kind of, I'm a nerd. Let's just put it that way. I'm a nerd, and nerdy kind of people, different nerdy people see things differently to other people, right? So it's nothing wrong with that, right? Um, so that's just me. That's who I am. So I'm gonna come from more of an analytical perspective, no matter what. Even if I'm getting hit upside my head, boop, 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 my brain's still operating in a certain way. It's very analytical. Okay, what should I do differently? So even as I'm getting hit upside the head, I'm thinking to myself while I'm getting hit upside the head. That sounds, because you get used to getting hit upside the head after a while. um, you're like, oh shit, I did that wrong. I did this wrong. Okay, so I need to do this. So it's just the way how I was wired. Not everybody's wired like that, so you don't have to worry. I'm just wired different. You know, but I think most people who go into combat sports or get hit upside the head, I think they more or less are people who are wired differently anyway. So just what it is. And there's nothing wrong with getting hit upside the head, by the way. The boxing scientist, man, it's good to see you up in here, man. Is there anything you guys want to talk about other than the election right now? Because I'm not really interested in talking about the election. But if you want to talk about the election, you can talk about it. Me personally, I'm not really interested in talking about that. That's why I'm talking boxing right now. So what does anybody else have to say out there right now that maybe we should be talking about in boxing? If not, you got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm what you need. You've been watching my channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've been just messing around with special effects. Let me add one more special effect. Wilder. Okay, boxing scientist, what do you want to know about Wilder? Break it down, brother. I'm going to, let's see what we got here. Wow. Oh, it's filming. Wow, that's cool. What do you want to talk about concerning Deontay Wilder? How people are taking it? What people have said about Deontay Wilder? People are saying that he's making excuses, and it looks sad what he's saying. The lies that people are putting out. Okay, you got to be more specific. But generally, some people are not taking Deontay Wilder seriously. I personally think that he showed video evidence to support what he was saying. So I see what he's saying. The problem with it is, it looks like an excuse, and that's terrible. But do I think that he should face Tyson Fury next? I think he should. Mark Breland tampered with his water. I don't know about that. That's what Deontay Wilder said. He said something like that. He said something like how Mark Breland tampered with his water. He said it to 78 Sports TV. He had an interview with 78 Sports TV. You can go and check out 78 Sports TV channel. He was talking about that. No, he did. I think he did. I think he did. What did he say? Because he did. He talked about Mark Breland, man. He said, in his no, but he talked about his water getting spiked as well, I think. And he said something to the effect about in the advertisement for Tyson Fury to face him. He was talking about a disloyal guy in the corner who threw in the towel. But he also talked about the water, if I'm not mistaken. Not by Mark. Okay. I mean, he said different things. Me personally, I don't know how Jay Diaz is, on that team, but I can't really say. I'm not too sure, about Jay Diaz, but I never thought of Mark Breland as a guy that was disloyal, but whatever. I mean,
I thought Mark Breland stopped the fight too soon. I thought Deontay Wilder could still have fought through it. Which is why Deontay Wilder looked at Mark Breland like, why do you stop it, man? Oh, Mark Breland was saying something in his ear. But frankly, I hope that they get a third fight. Jay Diaz has been trying to get rid of Mark Breland for years. There you go. Like I said, I'm not really sure what's up with Deontay Wilder's camp and everything. I never quite understood why he would get rid of Mark Breland. I don't think that was ever worth it to get rid of Mark Breland. But oh, you know Mark. Well, there you go. Okay, so as a person, do you think that Mark Breland would do something like that? I just don't see it. Like I never saw Mark Breland as a guy who would do something like that. Yeah, I never thought of Mark Breland was like that kind of person. I mean, if you look at Jay Diaz, he was always smiling in Fury's locker room and stuff. But then again, I'm not gonna say nothing about Jay Diaz either because I don't know. But I mean, I'm just saying if you gotta remove somebody. But I know JD has been the guy. He been the guy that been there with he been there with Wilder for a while. So I think even before Mark Breland, J Diaz was there with him. So I don't think J Diaz would do him that either. But that was Wilder accused to get rid of Mark. Man, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. All I can tell you is they didn't have the right game plan facing Tyson Fury to begin with. But I did hear Wilder talk about how he felt like he was drugged or something because he was going into the fight, and he never felt that way he felt going into the fight. It's very possible. I remember Larry Holmes talking about how he felt he was drugged going into one of the fights. I can't remember which one it was. And to be honest, Wilder didn't look himself going into that fight. But then again, it is what it is. AJ was a guy that sucked it up with the Andy Ruiz fight, and he never made any excuses. And it would have been in Wilder's best interest not to make any excuses and just get back Fury. Just get him back. Hopefully that fight still comes off next year. You know, hopefully that fight still comes off next year. You know, I've watched so many different interviews with so many different people. Asbury, the interview he had with AK Sports TV, and Asbury was talking a lot of stuff about, Fury and the gloves. And all I'll say is, and this happened before the fight with Deontay Wilder. Remember the glove issue with Asbury happened before Deontay Wilder, and that should have been a foreshadowing of what was to come. But apparently, we never paid attention to it. But I'll be straight with you once again. You have to think about when Wilder is so strong about Black Power. JD is a white coach and how he feels about that. I don't think J Diaz is like that though. And besides, J Diaz is not white. If you think about it, Diaz is a Spanish name. He's more Spanish than white. You know what I mean? And Jay's been with Wilder like forever. So why would he? But I don't know. I can't really say. You know what I mean? I can't really say. Anything could happen. Money could pass. Anything could happen in this business. It's a dirty business. It's boxing. You can't completely vouch for any person out there. But I don't see why J Diaz would. I don't know, man. I don't know. Wilder was sort of in the way of AJ. And I know for a fact that certain people back AJ. Yeah, I know. Diaz. Deas. Yeah, I know. Still Spanish. Diaz. But anyway, the point is, some people think this is a conspiracy theory, but we will go down there. Some people feel that to get wild out the way of AJ, they would set it up for Fury to beat him like that. And people turn a blind eye to what Fury is doing. Some people think it's that. And there was traitors inside the camp of Wilder who allowed that to happen. It's possible. I mean, I can't say. It's possible. But why do they need that guarantee? That to make no sense. I mean, if you think about it, all right? Tyson Fury was beaten while he beat Wilder in the first fight, in my opinion. Okay. Outboxed him. 9 rounds to 2, 10 rounds to 2, 9 rounds to 3. So why would you need gloves? This thing I never quite understood with Fury. Why would you need to use special gloves with stuff in them to beat up Wilder? That's the part that doesn't make any sense to me, right? In my opinion, Wilder still would, Fury was going towards Wilder. Wilder wasn't ready for that. So I don't understand why he needed to have padding missing in his gloves and maybe even objects inside of his hands in the gloves. But some people like to cheat to ensure that they get the results that they need to get, which is sad, because me personally, I think that it shows a lack of confidence in yourself and in your abilities. Yeah, I know he's a well-known cheater. He used steroids and stuff. That's why he said he was trying to masturbate to get his testosterone levels up and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the truth will come out, as it always does. And people will be exposed for their lies. That's just the way how life goes. Why cheat? Why cut corners? If you say you are this great fighter, you won't have to cheat to show that. So we'll see. Hopefully they'll have the third fight, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. You know what I mean? Me personally, like I said before, I don't really labor too much on it, because I believe that fighters should, if you're not going to press charges on Fury, if you're not going to press charges on him, then try to make the fight happen and get things going. But Wilder, if he has evidence from medical reports, etc., he should press charges. I don't care who Fury is, he should press the charges. Otherwise, you're looking for that third fight and try to beat his ass in that third fight. That's how I look at it. Because the media is not going to back Wilder. Just not going to do it. It'll take new media to do that. They'll talk about Wilder's situation, etc. But as to the mainstream media, as you can see, they all say the same thing, which is sad, because they all are wrong. But like I always tell people, no excuses. If you lose a fight, don't make no excuses. Just the better man won. That's all Wilder should have said. The better man won. End the story right there. You know what you know. You know what to take measures with. You know who people you need to put in place. You need to clear out ship so that you can get the right people in place. You clear out ships, you get the right people in place. Prep for the fight. Look to beat his ass in the third one. You know what I mean? Get your sweet revenge like Cotto did against Margarita. So, that's what you got to do. Boxing Scientist says that Fury is ducking Wilder. He wants to fight AJ. He says Fury is the boxing white hope in the racing sport. That's how it goes, brother. He got the complexion for the protection. It's what it is. We could talk about it, but we got to do something to change. One of the things I always tell my fellow brothers and sisters who are black is one of the things we can do is state the injustice. That's very important for everybody to know. But the next step is taking measures to ensure that injustice doesn't happen again. You see all those shootings that has happened in America. There's a gentleman named Ice Cube who's putting measures in place, and he wants legislature passed concerning those things that are happening. Now, if we, as black people globally, talking to Pan-American black people from all over the world, right now we have a solidarity. We have a united voice, regardless of what background we come from. Because, see, it's about solidarity. Let me tell you something. There are different kinds of white people out there. There's many different types of white people. But the one thing about white people is they have solidarity, global solidarity. Globally, they all agree on certain things. And we as black people need to have global solidarity. And it's amazing that, the Black Lives Matter movement has gone from being just black people to it was global for a minute after what happened to George Floyd. It was global. And that's beautiful because now we see humanity come together. And we need to have that continued, sustained support, not just if the world is not behind us, then Pan-Africanism needs to push for that. So the same thing with Wilder. We need to find a plan of action, which would be to get Wilder to face Fury again. You guys need to push for that fight. That's what you need to do. Because Wilder's not going to press charges. I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't think the WBC is going to look into the matter. Not now. When Wilder fights Fury, and let's say Wilder beats Fury, they may looking into the matter then. But they're not going to look into it now. So it's important that you guys push for that fight. That's what you need to be doing. All the black channels need to be promoting Wilder versus Fury 3 and making sure that Wilder versus Fury 3 comes off. That's all they should be there. They should be solely focused on that, zoned in, and guns blazing, Wilder versus Fury 3. And no matter who Fury's going to face next, they need to dog him and make sure that he faces Wilder. Dog him and make him keep his commitment. Dog him. That's what you need to be. You see, you can't be all over the place. You can't target people. You can't be attacking people. Attacking Fury does nothing to Fury. What you've got to do as boxing fans is push for Wilder versus Fury 3. That's what you need to be pushing for. Hard. That's all. The boxing scientist says you must be empowered to make changes. No one in power is ever going to relinquish their power. Once again, you are actually wrong about that. The people who have the power to drive boxing are the fans. We're the ones that pay for the fights. We have the power. So once again, you have to know who has the power.
It's not the people who are in the establishments and the organizations. They don't have the power. You have the power. You're the ones that will buy the pay-per-views or not. So here's what. If Tyson Fury tries to give you any other fight than Wilder versus Fury 3, you don't have to buy it. You want to buy what you're interested in buying. It's very simple. This is not rocket science. How we as fans, I'm going to tell you about another channel I have, which is a channel on cinema, okay? Particularly superhero movies. And for 2 years, we pushed for Zack Snyder's version of Justice League. And we got it. We got it from the powers that be. You know why? Because we, day in, day out, relentlessly was just pushing Zack Snyder's Justice League. We relentlessly did it. We raised funds. We fed America. We did, Society for Suicide Prevention. We did a lot of things, a lot of charity events. But we pushed for that for 2 years, and we got what we want. We're going to get it. Okay? Because you have to understand, the studios are not more powerful. They have to listen to you. The promoters, the people in the boxing business, they listen to you. You have a powerful voice, but you don't realize you have a powerful voice. You're the ones that pay for the fights. You're the ones that pay for the pay-per-views. You're the ones that, the fans drive the sport. Without the fans, there's no sport. Okay? So, no, the people who promote fights and so on, they're not in power. And if their pay-per-views flop because you're not buying it, guess what? They're going to listen to you. Okay? So you have a lot more power, especially in this COVID season. You have a lot more power than you think. Use it. Be smart. And you have to tell them what you want. This is the age and the era of Twitter, the social media. Okay? Now, if they do their metric studies and they realize that there's a big fight, people want this, and this. You have to compete with all the people out there. And you have to marshal support. You have to become the trending topic. You have to become the irresistible demand for Wilder versus Fury 3. You have to generate that. And they will listen to you. They can't avoid it. See? Because it's you who will buy their pay-per-view. And if you don't think that you're getting what you want, you can easily not buy their pay-per-views. You just, I don't care about those pay-per-views. I don't care about that. I don't care about Tyson Fury's next fight. I don't care about Wilder's next fight unless they're facing each other. That's all you got to do. And it's over. The promoters and the commission control the sport. That's not true. Once again, the fans control the sport. You just don't realize the power you have. The sooner you realize that, the better. Their whole entire sport runs on your money. The money you pay to see the sport. That's where they make their money from. Fans. People like you. So if you don't want to see what they're offering and you decide, I'm not watching that. Now, you have to be able to get that to the casual fans. You have to be able to get them to want and demand the particular fight that you want. You can't be telling the fans, don't buy this or don't buy that. That's dumb. You have to push for what you want. You have to be singular in your purpose. That's how you achieve success. So your singular purpose is Wilder versus Fury 3. That's your goal. That's all you talk about. All you talk about. And you talk about it until it becomes manifest. You don't ever sway from it. It doesn't matter what everybody else says. You stay focused on that. That's how we got the film that we wanted to get from Warner Brothers. A very powerful conglomerate company. We stay singular. I'm talking daily, every single day. Hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Hashtag release the sniper every day. We trended sometimes 2-3 times in a day. If you guys do that ridiculousness on Twitter, on YouTube, all you're making of videos, all you do all day, every single day, is make videos about Wilder versus Tyson Fury 3, and you just drum up a sport and you get into the mainstream media and you get it trending, and people all over the world are seeing this over and over and over and over and over again. It gets outside of the boxing circle. You are going to get Wilder versus Tyson Fury 3. You're going to get it. That's just how it works. Money talks, BS walks. I'm telling you. That's all you have to do. Every single day, you're just drilling it over and over and over and over again. That's all you got to do. If that's what you want. That's how it works. Right? So if you really, really want it, you got to make it something worth the dollars and cents. And it will happen. It will happen. Because one thing, all promoters, sanctioning bodies, athletic commissions, boxers, managers love is money. Race, all that shit goes out the window, and the green paper rules supreme. Like Mayweather said, the green print runs the show. And that's it. You're gonna get it. Right? It's based on money. Money, 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 my friend. Money runs the world. You make it lucrative. You make it worth the while. You know, so. And the narrative goes something like this. In the first fight, Fury was dominating. Then Wilder killed him with a punch from hell. And Fury got back up from the dead. Then Fury went and he mugged Wilder. But we learned that Wilder claimed Fury cheated. What will happen in Wilder Fury 3? Wilder is out for revenge, and Fury is out to show that he really will beat the crap out of Wilder once again. Wilder Fury 3. Get it on demand today. See, it's building up to a great narrative to start with. So Wilder Fury 3 would be great. And the funny thing about it is they have the best names in the world. Fury versus Joshua. Nah. Fury and the Wilder. That's great names right there. Wilder sounds wild and Fury sounds like vengeance. It's great. You know, Wilder Fury 3. Buy it on demand. Oh, they see the thunder and lightning from the Fury. Then you see some kind of wolf or something come out. That's for Wilder. You know what I'm saying? It just makes for dramatic sort of something. It makes for a great crescendo, a great trilogy. It just makes for that. So I mean, it could be and has Wilder Fury 1 and Wilder Fury 2 not been dramatic? They've both been dramatic fights. These both guys give you action-packed, exciting fights. You know, so Wilder Fury 3, we gotta have it. We gotta have it. You know, we gotta have it. But you have to be able to as fans, understand how to tap into the nerve of something. Wilder did something to try and get that momentum going. And now you have to take it and make it exciting and excite everyone. And that's the key here. Because as much as people are biased and you have to make the sport interesting.
You have to make it worth the while. So the people, even though they're in their tribal lines, you rile them up and they're like, oh my God, I gotta see this fight. You gotta get them interested. The boxing scientist says, why the colors of the corners of the fighters are red and blue? What do the colors stand for? I mean, that's cool. You could talk about red and blue, Democrat and Republican and blah, 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 blah. Right? It depends on what you want to go with. But me personally, I don't care. My thing is this. I mean, if you want to go into that, you can go into it. But for me, as far as I'm concerned, this is what I'm concerned with. It's business. And God damn it. This will go on for a couple more days, but it'll come to the end. For me, it's about the entertaining aspect as well, and how you can build something really interesting off the entertainment of boxing. And so I think we don't have enough drama and entertainment in boxing because the boxers have gotten so technically proficient and strategic in what they do. What makes boxing interesting is the fact that Wilder even came out and started speaking on something. That made it interesting. It almost gave us that WWE element that we're missing in boxing today. And that's why I say, like, Adrian Broner seems to be ahead of the curve in that in that respect. Adrian Broner brings us a different sort of feel to boxing. And that's good because it's entertainment as well. And so I think that Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, he brings a certain excitement to boxing, especially for the American audience. And he always gives you an exciting fight. And that's the key here. With Tyson Fury, he's also entertaining as well. Anthony Joshua is not as entertaining, but you like him, right? He's a likable guy. That's kind of standard stuff in boxing. It's kind of boring, but nonetheless, he's a likable guy. And he's, through and through, he's a kind of people's person kind of thing. He's a killer at the same time. He's a likable guy. So at the end of the day, the entertaining aspect, the two guys are very entertaining. Tyson Fury is a very entertaining guy. Deontay Wilder is a very entertaining guy. And that makes for it. And then their names are so very classic. Wilder versus Fury. I mean, you can't beat that. There's nothing to trump that. Wilder versus Fury 3. Oh my God. It almost sounds like a movie or something. You know what I mean? Wilder versus Fury 3. Fury versus Wilder. It's great. It sounds great. And if they could just keep it like that, the fight ends up being another one of those fantastic fights. That's all that matters. And Wilder can keep talking the way he talks, and Fury could keep on talking the way he talks. That's fun. I love it. So regardless of color lines or race or whatever, you gotta love it. Fury entertaining a third fight with Wilder would be tremendous because it shows again who Fury is as a person. He's not ducking or dodging anybody. He's ready to face Wilder. He's ready to duke it up. And then the fact that Wilder himself taking on that fight after getting beaten like that, turns around and says, I want my get back. I want my get back. It's beautiful. I love that stuff. I love that stuff. We need more of that in boxing. We need more of that in boxing. And that's that's what I want to see. I'm interested in seeing it just for that reason. I thought that Wilder should have given Fury his credit. He never gave Fury his credit. He never gave Fury his just due. I think that's one of the things, though. I hope that at the end of the third fight, they appreciate each other and they give each other the due respect that is necessary, having fought each other 3 times. So I'm looking forward to the third fight with Wilder versus Fury. I think Fury versus AJ is a great fight too. Don't get me wrong. But I would like to see Fury versus Wilder 3, just get that business sorted out between them, regardless of who wins. Just get it sorted out.
because it made for two great fights. They had two particularly great fights. It was a very dominant second fight by Fury. The first fight was a surprise because Fury was controlling it most of the time, and then Wilder just came and blasted him in the 12th round, which was fantastic. And then Fury got back up and fought Wilder. So I just thought that Wilder versus Fury 3 would be something to see. I mean, I don't see why not. Definitely would be exciting. That you can be guaranteed. So I would love to see the third fight before the AJ Fury fight. I said this on a number of occasions. I stay consistent with it. I love to see it, but does Tyson Fury right now need to give Deontay Wilder that third fight because they agreed to it and they had a rematch clause? He doesn't have to. I mean, he's not bound to it anymore. So it is what it is. But it would be nice if he does, because once again, I think that's the most exciting fight in boxing right now. You don't give a man credit for cheating, brother. You do. If you are no excuses barred kind of person, you do. You say, okay, you was the better man that night, and you leave it alone. And you know what you know in the background, and you plot for him the next time. You make sure you don't get away with it. Because if you're not going to press charges, then why do we need to know? If you ain't going to press charges on him for manslaughter, attempted manslaughter, why are we hearing about this? You see what I'm saying? It looks weak. It's just reality of the situation. I'm being real with you. Unless you try to promote the third fight and create a narrative, which is great. I love that too. But you should still give the guy his kudos and his credit. Whether you want to say, in spite of your loaded gloves, you beat me. Fine. But I'm coming for payback. But you give the guy his credit. You give the guy his justice. He won the fight. Unless you can prove without a shadow of a doubt that he cheated, you have to give it up. I mean, that's one thing about Miguel Cotto I noticed. He never said nothing about the Margarito fight. He just got his get back. He never said a word. Miguel Cotto never said nothing. Margarito cheated him clearly. He had nothing to say on it. He neither said yay, no nay. And he just got his get back. Miguel Cotto said the best fight of his career, best win of his career was beating Margarito the second time. Sweet revenge. So if that's what Wilder wants, then he should go for it. But just don't make no excuses, is what a lot of people are saying. Me personally, I think there's validity in what he's saying, but I mean, I can't defend it really too much because it's like an excuse, unfortunately. But we as fans, we could talk about it, which is kind of ironic because you would think okay, so I gotta wrap it up. I'm gonna catch you guys. I'll catch you guys later. My throat's giving me all kinds of problems. I have reflux and it's screwing up everything. It'll come to an end very soon, but as of now, this is what's happening with me. Catch you later, brother. I'm out of here. I'm what you need. Peace, people.